I got the moves. I got the moves. Oh, I'm making moves. You gotta move. You gotta make the city move. Like, whoa. I make the city move. I got the move.
The NBA season is well on its way, and now real discussions are being made about who could win the championship, postseason awards, and in particular, the MVP. In today's video, I'll be taking a look at the top 5 MVP candidates so far, in my opinion, their stats, their team wins, and the player's storyline. Basically the 3 keys to winning an MVP award. If you're new here and enjoy the video, be sure to subscribe for more NBA content. I'm trying to hit 5k as soon as possible. By the way, this video is in order, so keep that in mind. But with that being said, let's get right into this top 5. Honorable mentions, Stephen Curry. Now before we actually get into the top 5, I probably should talk about Steph Curry. When I originally planned this video, I had Steph Curry coming in at number 1. He was just straight balling at the time. But now as of recent, he's been injured, and in my eyes, he isn't even a top 5 candidate anymore, unfortunately. I'd love to put him on here, but I think his missed games are going to unfortunately push away his chance from being a chance for the award. Though we've clearly seen how valuable he is to the team, with them going 3-6 without him, or something like that, I think the voters will probably ignore that part. As of right now, he's not a top 5 candidate, but I do expect him to change that by the end of the year. But again, as of right now, he isn't in there. For all those wondering too, the other honorable mentions are on the pinned comment. I don't want this video getting too long. But with that all being said, we can finally get into this top 5. Number 5. Kyle Lowry, Toronto Raptors. To some of you, it may be a surprise to see Kyle Lowry on this list, but I think most of you should realize it shouldn't. Kyle Lowry has been playing at an extremely high level this season and is having arguably a career year alongside Kawhi Leonard. I've talked about Lowry in the past, specifically in the top 5 underrated plays video I made a couple of weeks ago, which you should probably go check out. It's one of the best videos I've ever made on this channel. Basically, what I said in that video is what Kyle Lowry is doing for the Raptors is going completely overlooked to some standard. But what is he doing? Let's look at the stats to start. The first factor to winning an MVP. He's averaging an amazing 15.4 points, over 10 assists per game, and is shooting a decent 45% from the field. The biggest thing here are those assist numbers. It's a sudden improvement that no one really saw coming, and it's a pretty big leap too. He's averaging around 3 to 4 more assists than last season, and his field goal percentage is up 3%. Some may look at these stats and say they are nowhere near MVP stats, and that there are many players better than Lowry. But if we go back to 2006, where Steve Nash won his MVP, he averaged a rounded 18 points and 10 assists, almost identical numbers to Lowry this season. And Lowry's not even the first option. The fact he's playing this well is just crazy to me. I honestly did not see it coming. Another factor in the MVP race is having a good record, and Kyle Lowry and the Raptors are well on top of that. They currently have the best record in the league at 20-4, and there seems to be no sign of them slowing down. If the Raptors keep this up, they could finish the season with 60+ wins, which is something voters definitely need to take into consideration. This stuff doesn't happen too often, and Kyle Lowry is playing a huge role for the Toronto Raptors this season. The final factor for winning an MVP is the storyline. To make a good MVP case, you need some sort of motivation behind your achievement. For example, Russell Westbrook. After KD ditched Westbrook in free agency, Russ balled his heart out and dominated the league, and that little bit of drama and flavor really helped his case to win the award. Of course, that wasn't just it, his stats were out of this world, but the storyline played a big part. But unfortunately for Lowry, his storyline is virtually non-existent. You could say he lost his best friend and the Raptors made a dirty move on him and DeRozan, but that's more a storyline for DeMar, so this is really the only flaw in Lowry's case. Do I think this will hold Lowry back though? No. Even without this, Lowry makes a very competitive case for MVP this season. But overall, I still think there are 4 better players that deserve this elusive award more than Lowry. Number 4. Anthony Davis, New Orleans Pelicans. Anthony Davis, after 7 long seasons, is finally being recognized as one of the best players in the league, and this season he is clearly proving his worth. On the New Orleans Pelicans, he's been trying his best to take them to another playoff run, and anything is possible at this stage. Davis is playing really well right now, so let's take a look at the 3 MVP factors and see if he can become an MVP winner once this season is all said and done. First, stats. Davis is averaging an insane 27.8 points with 12.7 rebounds a night. He's also passing the ball well too. He's averaging nearly 5 assists, which is great for a big man. He's also shooting quite efficiently, with his field goal percentage at 49, nearly 50%, and his 3-point percentage is above 34%, which is okay, I guess. But the key thing here are those points and rebounds. He has clearly taken his game to another level with DeMarcus Cousins gone. Speaking of Cousins, another factor in the MVP discussion is the storyline, and boy, does Davis have a good one. As we all know, DeMarcus Boogie Cousins was injured last season, and during the All-Star game, Anthony Davis represented his brother by wearing his jersey. But Cousins would end up snaking the whole Pelicans franchise and join the Golden State Warriors, which surprised and disappointed everyone. Now with him gone, Davis is trying to prove to everyone he doesn't need Cousins to dominate and win, and he's doing that right now, as I mentioned with his stats. This is a similar storyline to the Westbrook-Durant one, and I think it's smart of Davis to use his Cousins slithery move to Golden State as motivation. This is a great storyline that voters shouldn't overlook. Davis is delivering at a really high level right now. The final factor is wins, and this is the problem for Anthony Davis. His team is currently sitting outside the playoffs in 12th, with an 11-12 record, which obviously will probably ruin any chance of being an MVP candidate. But I still don't think Davis should worry too much. The difference between 8th and 13th is half a game, so if Dallas drop a couple games and the Pelicans win a few, all of a sudden they're in the playoffs and are probably a lock for them. But honestly, at this rate, the Pelicans are probably finishing 7th at best, and that's me being very optimistic. I just don't think the team around AD is good enough to help him take him there and secure him the MVP. Davis is definitely an MVP candidate, a top 5 one, but I think his team's record is going to cost AD a lot, if not everything. Number 3, Kevin Durant, Golden State Warriors. Kevin Durant is a pretty underrated player on this list. Not really because his name in this discussion is unheard of, but I think it's because his amazing season is getting overshadowed by the drama happening in Golden State. As we've seen so far this season, the issues have been piling on and on for the Warriors. With the Draymond KD beef, the injury of Curry, it's been a tough year. But KD is pulling through with some incredible stats. He's averaging 30 points per game this season, which is the second highest in the league, barely behind James Harden's 30.6 points per game, and he's also posting up 7 boards and 6 assists a night too, which is just fantastic. The record right now for the Warriors isn't great, we can all admit it. 15-7 and 4th in the Western Conference is definitely a surprise and something we weren't expecting, and most of this is due to Curry's injury. Without him, the Warriors lost a ton of games and only winning a few, so now they have to work their way back up into first. During this stretch, they lost 4 games in a row, which in this last era of the franchise hasn't ever happened before. For any other candidate, a 15-7 record would be great, but since it's coming from the reigning champions, it may actually hold KD back a lot. The final factor that I haven't spoken of yet is the storyline, and KD has one, except this storyline may actually do worse than good. As I mentioned briefly earlier, there has been a ton of drama surrounding the Warriors franchise recently, from the in-team fights to injuries, and this is making the most headlines. And one person that consistently appears in these headlines is Durant himself. And overall, having his name in the bad spotlight may deter voters away from voting for him to win the award, even though his stats are through the roof. Number 2, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Milwaukee Bucks. Giannis Antetokounmpo has been one of the most hyped up players the past couple of years, and it's obvious why. Giannis has taken leap after leap into stardom these past few seasons, having massive body transformations and dominating every team he plays, and fans are starting to notice. Last year, Giannis was easily a top 5 NBA MVP candidate, averaging 26 points with 10 rebounds, and he hasn't slowed down at all this year. He upped his points per game to 27, his rebounds are now at 13 a contest, a 3 total rebound jump. He's shooting over 50% from the field, and the best thing is, he's doing all this without a decent jump shot. He's only averaging a shocking 13% from 3, but this doesn't really matter. He's simply dominating without it. The Bucks are also winning at a good rate. After winning their first 8 games, the team have been in a bit of a slump, only with a 15-7 record, but this is still good enough to put them in second place in the East, and at the rate they're going, they should be a team with a home court advantage come playoff time. The final factor for Giannis Antetokounmpo is the storyline, and I'm going to be honest, he doesn't have one. Maybe some of you will consider Mario Hezonja stepping over him a storyline, but I honestly don't think that's enough. Overall for Giannis, he's averaging good numbers, he's winning, but personally, I don't think it's enough to take the award away from number 1. Number 1, Kawhi Leonard. This season has been truly remarkable from Kawhi, I'm not going to lie. After the drama of last season, the name calling of him, how he's a so-called child, he's only a system player, Kawhi is straight up proving every hater and doubter wrong right now, including his old head coach, Greg Popovich. Let's take a look at the first important influence if a player wants to win an MVP, and that's statistics. Leonard is so far averaging 25 points per game with over 8 rebounds and 3 assists. These are fantastic stats, and he's back at playing at an above average level. Another factor for Kawhi that is crucial for him winning this award is his team's wins. After being traded from San Antonio, there was a lot of pressure on Kawhi's shoulders to prove he was an assistant player, and so far on Toronto, he has proved that. His team's record, as I mentioned with Kyle Lowry, is 20-4, the best in the entire league, and Kawhi is a huge reason to why this team is playing so well. As I said with Kyle, if this isn't a major reason for voters to select him for MVP, I don't know what is. And finally for Kawhi, the storyline. This is really the only thing that separates him and Kyle Lowry. They both put up amazing stats, both are on the same team, so obviously the record is the same, but the storyline is the main difference between the two. And I've mentioned it a couple times now, but it's the fact he's proving the haters wrong. Coming into this season, there were a lot of question marks and so-called red flags over Kawhi's shoulders. Many said he wouldn't play the same after the injury. Some said he was just a system player and that this would get exposed in this season. But clearly, none of that has happened, and Kawhi Leonard is truly dominating the league right now. Even his former head coach is firing shots at him, and I honestly don't know why. Kawhi is having a great season, and in my opinion, he will be the 2018-19 NBA MVP. But what do you guys think of this? Who is the MVP in your opinion for this season, and did I miss anybody? Let me know in the comments below. Also, all honorable mentions are on the pinned comment. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to drop it a like and subscribe. But with that being said, I am out. Peace.
I pull up in a flag. Ice cold with diamonds holding on my neck.